Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm TJ O'Connor. With me, as always, Damian the Wolverine Hill. Trash Talk is brought to you by our lovely sponsors of the show, Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shrinks Tattoo, Origin Wellness CBD, Spartan Martial Arts, the Striking Institute, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, the Fighters, my mom, Damian. It's Sunday. It snowed. It's cloudy. We're stuck inside. How you doing?
A whole lot better than you. How about
that? It's fair. It's fair.
So, I guess tonight what we're here to talk about is a conversation that I had with a fighter earlier today, and he referred to an Eminem quote a little bit about it, and this is definitely misquoted, but it was along the lines of what Eminem said. Your only talent is critiquing my talent. So how talented are you really? Mm. And I'm just thinking like, wow, that's a really good statement. That is pretty good. Like when we're talking to these fighters and we're interviewing them and we're trying to make make statements or let people know what we think that they're good at, because predictions of fights and things like that isn't something that we do. You know, it's just not. I'm going to tell you, if TJ has a chance of winning, this is how, and if such and such has a chance of winning, this is how, and I'm going to let you guys divvy that up. But because I've picked winners of MMA fights for however many years before I ever started fighting and was wrong almost half the fucking time. This sport is 50-50. So I don't like to do that. I just like to present what I believe to be true as fact and display that. And I guess sometimes even I get it wrong. You know what I mean? Now, when it comes to critiquing other fighters and getting it wrong, and the times that I have gotten it wrong and I've expressed to you where I said the wrong, it's been the wrong words. Like, let's say a guy comes out there and is a solid striker, and I'm just like, oh no, he's down to throw down with anybody. And he says, what do you mean throw down? I'm down to pick apart my opponents. So I'm not down to throw down. I'm not brawling with anybody. I'm like, that's not what I meant. But interpreted, and after he explained it the way that he said, I understood how he interpreted it that way. And then it comes down to, oh yeah, those are the words that I used to critique what I thought of your style. But I never once sat and thought to ask you, what do you think of your style?
Oh yeah. I mean, 100%. That's one of the biggest compliments I feel like I could give a guy is, oh, that guy will go out there and he'll trade hands. He ain't scared of shit. But, like, some guys take that as a derogatory term. It's like, no, I'm going to go out there and pick my shots and do things. And I've said this once on the show. I've said this a bazillion and a half times. Fighters are the most sensitive people in the whole world. So you can say something that you think is a compliment, and they're going to take it the wrong way. And I feel like once you sign up for it, and once you're in the position we are and you do say those things, I mean, you have to take what comes back to you. I mean, if I say something they're upset about it, I have to at least talk it out and try to explain myself rather than being like, no.
Yeah. Well, that's how it has been with almost everybody that we've talked to. Or I mean, I guess not we've talked to, but anybody that has gotten mad at the things that I've said when we talk to them, you know, and there's some things that either, I mean, I might have made more fighters mad than I actually know about. They keep that shit to wraps, you know, because there's so many times where I was being talked to, being interviewed, or things were said about me that just, like, who the hell are you to say that? You know what I mean? Yeah. And let's say, like, one of the things in fighting is fighters who are being talked about non-fighters. You know, it's one of those things like, oh, who the hell is this guy to talk about me? Now, let's say the guy that is talking about you actually fought and is more accomplished than you in fighting. You're still going to get mad most of the time when they criticize you. You know, you're like, they're critiquing your, or what you believe to be is your best talent. You know, like, let's say Michael Bisping is critiquing a fighter. He's probably not going to use the best words. And sometimes it's funny, you know. But let's say somebody was to critique Michael Bisping on how he interviews fighters. He's going to respond really negatively. If you critique Michael Bisping on how he even fought, even though it's his job to critique these fighters right now, he's going to respond negatively.
Yeah.
That's sport. That's what this is. It's emotional, and we're sensitive. It is what it is. And granted, Michael Bisping has been through the ringer. He's been a gatekeeper and he's been champion. He's been a guy that's just been on the roster, a guy that's been used to sell the Fight Pass prelims, been used to sell the Spike prelims, been used to sell pay-per-views. All of those things. He's played every role that the UFC has had to offer as far as being a fighter goes. And now he's a commentator. And this guy has lost. He's won. He's had some amazing victories. He's had some not so amazing losses. He's had some mediocre. He had some in between, all those things. And for him to say something to anybody that's fighting, this dude lost a fucking eye. You know, let's say he said something insulting about your loss or whatever in a post-fight interview, pre-fight interview, before your next fight after a loss or something like that. It's still going to sting. But then you think about like all the things that he's been through, all the things that he survived and kept coming back from. Shit. Yeah, maybe it's not that insulting, but it's still going to feel insulting when you hear it, no matter who it's coming from, no matter what. No matter what. It just, that's the fact.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, like you said, if you trade 4 or 5 days a week and you're giving your heart to this, I mean, that's the last thing you want to hear is how bad you are at fighting. So, I mean, even if someone doesn't say in those direct terms, but, you know, it's insinuated, you know what I mean? So you try to your best to stay positive and stay like that. And like I said, it's so emotional that one thing like that can get into a fighter's head. And so you kind of have to be careful on what you say because it's a delicate line. And like I said, sometimes you can have the most positive intentions and it just comes across wrong. And I like the way you worded that, where you said, I mean, truth be told, doesn't matter who it's from. If you're a basketball player and Michael Jordan tells you your jump shot shit, doesn't make you feel any better because it's Michael Jordan. I mean, it's just like, oh, damn, my jump shot shit. I've been shooting since I was 5. So, I mean, like you said, it's rough to hear it no matter what, but there is a little bit of the sting gets taken away if it's someone who you can put in that scenario. You know they've put in that work. And I don't know if it's journalism that transferred from other sports, the way they look at other sports, because you see that in other sports. Like, guy throws 3 interceptions in a game. Oh, he sucks. He's the worst quarterback ever. I mean, that's just how people talk about stuff in other sports. And maybe it's a thing to where, like you said, with these guys going through, you know, journalism school like that, they get critiqued. You need the critiques, but fighters didn't do that stuff. Fighters didn't go to, I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of fighters are college educated and stuff like that, so don't make it sound like fighters are dumb, but fighters didn't, they don't want to be, I mean, if they're going to be critiqued, it better be their coach or their teammates, and even some of the teammates might want to sit down a little bit depending on who it is.
Dude, imagine if the person critiquing you on like how you got armbarred or how you didn't avoid whatever the fuck, or just throwing it in your face that it happened. Imagine if they never even trained, never even did anything, because that's a whole nother aspect that when it comes down into it, you know, into reporting on fighting. If you're the one talking about me, about how I'm going to get my ass beat or how I'm going to win even, it's just like, how the hell do you know that? Like, shit, dude, when I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus, but when the MMA news website was writing their articles and the guy who ran that website was working for SEG and I kept fighting a bunch of SEG guys, I never felt like I got a fair write-up. You know? And that's from a guy who's never done it either. So I'm just saying, like, when it comes down to like people who have never done it or anything like that, it's like, you're the guy who's gonna say this about me. And then, or even when he was saying those things about me, he was trying to explain to me too, like how much he knows about the sport, how much he respects the sport, and all those things. And I asked him if he ever trained. I'm like, oh, you respect the sport, you're dedicated to the sport that you've never trained in, that you won't even take time into developing just to get like a better understanding of the basic knowledge of the sport. You know, you won't even do that, but then you're gonna tell me how you're just as passionate, and I go to fucking 4-hour jiu-jitsu classes, 4-hour wrestling classes, and 4-hour fucking boxing classes every day. How insulting does that sound to me? So if me being a reporter or anything like that, like him saying that to me was like, I wanted to beat his ass because it's not the same. And then when I tried to explain to him how it's not the same, he wouldn't even acknowledge the fact that it's not the same, which is even more insulting. Because if you trained, you would understand that it's not the same. Every fighter that has ever fought and continues to train is continuing to say that they're learning new things every day, that they're better today than they were yesterday. So because you watch the sport enough, you feel like you understand 100% completely everything about it. Most of these people that compete in this sport watch the sport. They study the sport.
Yeah.
They are the ones who are saying they're learning more every single day, and they train in this sport every single day. But you're going to throw out there that you, because of your passion, your respect for the sport, you know all of this stuff and why it would work and why it wouldn't and things like that. It's just like when he was saying that to me, it just felt really insulting. And like, people are listening to his voice. Like, he developed a voice from his website, used his website to talk about me. And when he talked about me, he wasn't putting out the best information or the most accurate information. He's putting out an opinion or the perspective he was trying to paint, not necessarily what I actually do. Dude, okay. They always wrote that I was a brawler. Always wrote that I was a brawler.
Yep.
Have you ever seen me brawl with anybody? Ever. But to this day, people still come up to me and talk to me like, yeah, you were a brawler, man. You were the shit to watch. And then when they see me, it's like, yo, you were so technical. You were yeah, but I'm like, the words that were used to describe me doesn't describe that. So you only remember the brawling part. You don't remember the technical ass boxer that used to starch niggas. That's what's insulting about everything that they did. Because even today, people still remember what they said, and that website isn't even running anymore.
Yeah, and that's why, like, when we do these things, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I write down anything. I don't think we don't write down questions. We've made that clear to everybody we've ever talked to. But I try to emphasize and I try to focus on what I say because it's like that. I mean, you say the wrong thing, even with positive intent, and it comes across the wrong way. That's why instead of saying like, oh, this guy's good or this guy's bad, you got to start elaborating like, oh, man, his striking's smoother than the spread on your bagel. You know what I mean? So you just got to let it out a little bit.
Well, there's been times where I'm like, I try to watch everything that I say, and I'm like, there's times where I'm like, oh, I'm about to give you a compliment right now. So do not, I hope I find a way to say this without insulting you. I hope this doesn't sound insulting or whatever. But I always express that before I say my statement, just so that they know that it's coming from a good place, not a negative place, you know, because when somebody is training so hard on a technique or whatever, right? Let's say that you've been training your guillotine like crazy every day, all day. And then somebody shoots in on you and you finish him with the guillotine and they say, oh man, he left his neck out there and you capitalized. And it's like, yeah, just a little bit of that. Maybe he left his neck out there for a second too long, and I perfected my technique and my timing, and I capitalized. Yeah, but you know what I mean? It comes across as insulting to somebody who's been doing that forever, or who does that to everybody. You know, it just, and that's the one thing. Like when you're the guy whose talent is critiquing other people's talent, that's what you gotta be. You know, people throwing in your face that, hey, you don't know what the fuck you're critiquing. You don't know shit. And then on top of that, when people critique your critiques, are you going to get as defensive as they were when you were critiquing them? Because if you do, then shit, you don't understand what you're doing at all.
No.
You know? But then if you don't like take what they say into consideration, like, shit, maybe I should be more sensitive to people's feelings, you know, because I don't like what people say about me.
Man.
You know, like, do people think about that? And then, like, when people, reporters always say, oh, I'm just trying to get the story. At least that's the movie version of the reporter, you know, like, I'm just trying to, what is it? Scream, that bitch from Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, her. She's just trying to get the story. She's willing to sleep with, she's willing to flirt with, she's willing to manipulate or whatever to get the fucking story. And then it's just like, well, bitch, no one likes you. You know that, right? No one. People are like, oh yeah, she's on TV. But like that's literally it. No one liked that bitch.
No.
You know, so it comes into that too. Like, I mean, and I guess that's what a lot of these websites do too. Like MMA Junkie, I guess the MMA news website back when they were doing it and everything is like they were able to hide behind a website. They never put their face out there.
Yeah.
So they never had to be like, hey, TJ, I know that was you that said this about me. Nah, it was the website. No one knows who I am.
Yeah, that's why I'm out here, face, front line, got my address out here, big trust, woo woo. You know where I'm at.
Yeah, sorry, I went on a little bit of a rant at the end. I think that's about all I had to say, dude. Like that was, I mean, when it comes to like when people, a guy has tried to fight me because I did interviewing his opponent and was asking too good of questions to his opponent. So he wanted to fight me because of that.
I
imagine if I said anything bad. Dude, imagine if I said anything bad about him.
Yeah. 100%. Like I said, you can say one thing, you can say A plus B, and they're gonna hear 1 + 2, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things that comes with the territory. If you're not ready for it, get out of the kitchen. And then on top of that, if your only talent is critiquing other people's talents, let me restart. If your only talent is critiquing other people's talent, then maybe you're just not that talented. Boom. Like this video, subscribe to Trash Talk with Damon and TJ. Don't be a hoe.